Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Dan.
Chris.
Sean.
You're not Lee.
I'm not Lee.
I'm really glad about that.
Lee is on a mission elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
On a mission of world peace, didn't you put it earlier?
Like something like that, yes.
Yeah, he's tweeted since to say he's eating calamari.
Peaceful.
Yeah. Do we have to talk about Canada?
Well, we had to talk about Monaco when that happened 2 weeks ago. So, yes.
Right, well,
We'll discuss all the things that happened.
it's this big country to the north of the USA. Their prime minister is pretty cool. They like macaroni cheese in packets.
Dispel things as they hear them.
Yeah. We're about done, aren't we?
I think so.
And there's
Some of them speak French.
and there's lots of moose.
Mooses.
Moose-eye? Meese.
Mice. Meese.
But they also attempted to have a Grand Prix this weekend.
Well, they did have a Grand Prix this weekend.
And it had a
Almost.
first lap.
Sort of.
But it didn't have a last lap.
No. Well, yeah, it did.
But not the one that they were
Otherwise,
expecting.
Not the one,
they'd
yeah.
still be going if it didn't.
Part of me feels like it is still going.
Canada this year was the complete opposite of what we expected Canada to be, based on every other year we've ever seen it happen.
And I think we wanted it to happen more coming after Monaco.
Yeah.
In the procession that it was. But
Canada has been exciting, and this year it wasn't. Canada is usually the Hamilton show, and this year it wasn't. Canada is usually the place that throws up a slightly odd result, and this year it didn't.
Yeah, I think that about sums it all up.
It was just decided to be the opposite of what everyone wanted it to be.
Oh, Canada. There goes this week's title. Right, start at the back, because that's where all the action happened. Got Williams written down here first, and you get Lance Stroll. And so did Brendan Hartley.
Yeah.
And so did the wall.
Lap 1, turn
3.
3, 4, something like
I
that.
think, was it not turn 6?
5
I think that's
into
where they
6, wasn't it?
ended. I don't know where
Yeah.
it's
Turn 5
carried on
into
for a
6.
little while.
I believe Dan mentioned on last week's podcast that he was going to pick Lance Stroll as a villain, despite the fact he was protected from villainous.
No, I said I was going to pick whoever crashed lap 1, turn 1. And he waited a few laps, a few turns to do it.
And I also remember saying you couldn't pick Lance Stroll because that would be too easy. Looking at the footage of the crash, he completely lost the back end of the car, and I think that was one of these mystery Williams aerodynamic stalls again, because there was a big wobble before the first contact with Hartley, and I think the car had just decided it wasn't going to do what it was meant to do.
Possibly. I have seen some speculation that he might have hit the wall and picked up a puncture, but I don't know whether that's...
I haven't seen that.
Someone asked him about that in the pen afterwards, and he said he didn't know. So nobody knows.
I mean, he's been great with telling what state his tyres and brakes are in for the last season and a half, hasn't he? Oh, no, he hasn't.
No, at Monaco he hit the wall and didn't realise he'd hit the wall.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think that...
Like
I'm beginning to think like Lee.
the aerodynamic stall, if that's what it was, sort of threw that Williams a good couple of feet across the track, enough to squeeze Brendan Hartley right up against the wall at something like 120, 130 mile an hour, whatever they were doing at the time. And when you've got a Formula One car in the air, that's, obviously it's not, you can't steer a Formula One car once it's in the air. It just becomes a giant missile, a rocket essentially, with no explosion at the end of it. And he just happened to missile right back into Lance Stroll and took the two of them out of the race. Completely Lance Stroll's, not necessarily his fault, but his issue.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Claire Williams decided to say mid-race that it was appalling because Lance Stroll was just minding his own business when Brendan decided to drive into the side of him.
Well, he can't have been minding his own business because he'd overtaken 4 cars. You don't make 4 passes in the first few turns if you're minding your own business. You drive round at the back like Sirotkin was doing.
Well, yeah, Sirotkin was last of all the finishes as well.
and one of the last of all the starters.
Yeah.
Would have been last if it hadn't have been for Grosjean deciding to take up vaping in the pit lane.
Well,
I was expecting more of a reaction.
No, his car took up vaping in the pit lane, didn't it? So
And we'd heard you say it before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
like
that was the
Groundhog
problem.
Day.
Yeah. No, that was Grosjean.
That was Friday.
No, that was Grosjean. And Gasly's engine upgrade penalty thing that went on, using two engines in the same weekend. And
but upgrading, then downgrading, then re-upgrading.
yeah, which we will get to later. I mean, you can't... not much later, because there's not a great deal you can say about Williams' performance, because Sorokin was completely anonymous. What was it, 3 laps down in the end? 2 laps down?
2 laps down.
Everyone
in the
lost
end,
count, I think, of the laps. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
So around about the same time we lost the will to live.
Yes.
I think it was Sorokin, Ericsson, and somebody else who was whoever was ahead. Van Dorn, I think.
I think
they
it
were
was
all
Van
2
Dorn.
laps down.
Mm.
That's not good either for either of those teams or drivers.
Not really when... Well, Sorokin, that's just been the case all season.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether he's been brought into F1 too soon, whether he's not fit to be an F1 driver, or whether it's just the car that's making him look worse than he is, or a combination of all of the above. Because you just really can't tell anything with Williams. They are the dictionary definition of mess at the minute.
Yeah.
I think with a Williams car from a few years ago, any driver capable of getting to Formula One would have been able to put that car mid-grid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot wrong this year with the car.
Yeah, one thing that was said at the end of the race, kind of skipping ahead of ourselves, but it was about Bottas. That's his 4th consecutive podium in Canada. He's only been with Mercedes 2 years. What was he driving those 2 years before?
Yeah.
So how far have they plummeted?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a tweet from somebody who calls himself J7 Williams. I think he's a fan. Can you ask the question tonight whether the Williams F1 car becomes an unsafe car on tight racing circuits? I think it's proved that it is.
On all racing circuits, probably.
I think the incident between Stroll and Hartley could have been down in part to Stroll's car losing the aero on its back end.
Could have
Yeah.
been.
The car could become a hazard when cars try to overtake it on lap 1, only on that lap, because after that they're at the back for the rest of the race. I think he's just summed up in one tweet everything that we've just said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it. And I don't think a change necessarily would be beneficial either for the driver who jumped in. You'd imagine Robert Kubica would be the head of that queue, or for the team right now. It's just that they are sort of stuck where they are now for 2018, unless they find the magic development cube somewhere in the in Williams' factory.
Yeah, I mean, Sky were asking questions at the on Sunday. Is Paddy Lowe under threat there? And Sean, you said he actually got to the circuit late.
Yeah, this was something else Sky were talking about that he missed. I can't remember if it was P1 and P2 or just P1, but he didn't arrive until late on Friday. So what
Had
he was
been out
doing,
partying?
I don't know what he was doing in between.
Ain't
but
no party like a Paddy Lowe party.
you would assume
Bring
part of
those
his job
cheese
is
and
being there.
pineapple cubes.
But yeah,
And
so
all
they
those statistics.
they've had a few senior people leave quite recently. So there's definite problems staffing wise.
Yeah.
Kubica as well. He drove the car in Spain, both in FP1 and at the test after Spain, and was very critical of the car.
Unsurprisingly, because I mean, he has a hell of a lot more experience in racing
Yeah.
in any category than any of the other 2 drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think is it a good thing for his comeback that he's not actually become a race driver this year?
Very possibly.
Because that could have finished his career completely. You can blame the car all you want, but if somebody experienced can't get anything out of it,
Yeah.
then we'd still all like to see Robert Kubica start a Grand Prix, but not in that Williams.
No. No. I think, yeah, at the time when he jumped ship from Renault for an opportunity with Williams, it seemed like the right thing to do. It's It's now seeming like, even though I think his opportunity has had passed at Renault, it's now seeming like, jumping to Williams may not have been the bravest idea.
Well, Cyril Abiteboul had a couple of words to say on the subject. I'm still doing
yes.
that one from
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
No, that makes about as much sense as we get out of Cyril. Yeah.
Right, move on to McLaren next, and yeah, fun times for them.
No.
No, Van Dorn 16th, and the hat salesman of uncertain future retired with a broken exhaust.
Yeah. We were expecting big things from McLaren again, and it's McLaren who are coming up short this year.
Alonso said he was going to be fighting from 7th to 12th, and
He was kind of in that zone.
he was
before
sort of there or there. It was sort of between
broke.
12th and 10th, and then the car just gave up.
He was in Le Mans by mid-afternoon today, so maybe he just wanted to
One eye
beat
on
the
Le
queue
Mans.
at the airport. Maybe
Yeah.
No, it's he's got a new Le Mans hat
he
as
has
well.
got a new Le
Ah,
Mans hat,
hat
special
salesman.
Le Mans hat.
Are we going to start calling him Malibu Stacey because he's always
He
always
has
got
got
a
more
new
hats
hat?
than Hamilton, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Hamilton goes through a lot of hats, but
Hamilton launches one hat per race. I think Alonso or Kimoa launch one hat per session.
Yeah, probably.
But-
Yeah, I'm very disappointed with what we saw at McLaren this weekend just gone. It was a great opportunity for them to prove that they're making steps in the right direction. Renault powered cars came with upgrades this weekend, and when McLaren tried to use it, they were the only team who suffered from a distinct lack of grip. And they had to then increase their downforce so that they had the grip. But then that scrubbed all of their top-end speed. So they didn't get anywhere near the maximum out of the engine or the power unit upgrade that they had.
they did have a problem after the Stroll-Hartley crash as well.
'Cause
Van
they were
Dorn
right behind it.
Van Dorn picked up a large bit of carbon fibre underneath the car, so they had to pull him in for a long pit stop very early on.
Yeah, there was that. Both McLarens did very well to avoid the incident because they were just
They were
on the
right
other-
behind it,
Yeah,
weren't
they
they?
were right behind it when it happened, and then yes,
And Sirotkin did well to avoid it because he was about 2 corners behind.
Maybe that was it, the smart tactic. Just
Ricardo
hang
Rossi.
back. Wait for the carnage to
Is that
ease.
your first get on? Oh, no, that's later.
yes.
But yeah, Stoffel finishing 2 laps down, it's just, I don't know. Something isn't working at McLaren. The whole, we've got the engine, we've got the drivers. What happened to the best chassis?
Yes, they seem to have forgotten about that conveniently. They're not shouting about that anymore.
No, because they don't have it. That's purely and simply the reason that they have stopped shouting about it.
Yeah, I don't think they've got a great deal to shout about, and they're staying quiet. Do we do the Alonso speculation now, or do we wait for Dan to come back?
Dan's still here. He's just being very quiet.
No, he's just disappeared on a
No.
secret mission.
Are him and Lee in cahoots on their
thought-
secret international missions?
No, Lee's in the Canary Islands.
Is he, or is he in
I
Singapore?
think that's just the official story.
Right. I'm only taking everything at face value. Tell you what, we'll move on to Toro Rosso because we've covered half the crash. We may as well talk about the rest of it. Obviously, Brendan
So I
Hartley.
was going to say you want to leave Alonso speculation then.
We'll leave Alonso speculation till later because we've got a Le Mans section.
Okay.
Because I wrote the rest of the running order down after you got bored writing the race order.
No, I didn't get bored writing the race order. I wrote the race order.
And
I think the problem is we're all a little bit hungover from the race and its entertainingness, and we're struggling to
yeah,
get
we
back
need
up.
to
It's
get the
broken
There
us.
was
enthusiasm.
nothing to get excited about, really, was there?
No.
No.
But,
Well,
Gasly managing to get himself up to 11th. If that engine upgrade, the Honda engine upgrade, had have been there working all weekend,
Yeah.
we would have definitely seen him well into the points.
Definitely, because he started from the back row and Hartley was 12th,
Hartley was-
13th
Hartley
on the
was
grid.
12th.
So if you assume Gasly would have been around about there as well, he would have had a lot of room to go forward.
Yeah, it looks like Honda are actually, I won't say the real deal, but a deal now.
Some work is happening at Honda.
And I think it just more things that reflect badly on McLaren.
Yeah.
because Honda obviously work much better with Toro Rosso than they do with the Woking team, or did previously. One thing I did notice about the Hartley and Stroll crash, I was surprised when Hartley walked out of it and then ended up going to hospital for scans, which fortunately he's come back okay from. But did you see the in-car footage of him close up? His head actually bounced off the halo a couple of times,
Oh, no, I didn't see that, no.
Yeah.
and think that's where the worry about the concussion came from. But conversely, he needed that halo there because that car could have gone over.
Yeah, he needed it there, and, when you got two cars, as I said before, you got a car.
If he hadn't stuck his nose right into Stroll's left front tyre.
Yeah, that stopped him rolling. I think he got what was left of the front wing kind of embedded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, cars become, they're aerodynamic missiles, essentially. When they leave the tarmac, they're just airborne aerodynamic missiles. And it could have been very, very bad, very nasty for Lance Stroll or Brendan Hartley. Luckily,
Or anyone else who just got picked up in it.
Yeah.
Luckily, as you say, the both drivers are okay.
Yeah. But on the positive side, Gasly gained a few places. Looked racy out there. He was actually making up places on track rather than through strategy, and it's good for Toro Rosso to be able to do something like that.
It's good that they're able to push forward, which is why I think they're a bit frustrated with Brendan Hartley as of late.
Yeah, well, I mean, with all the rumours flying around, at one point last week, it came out that they'd approached McLaren to get Lando Norris in.
Yeah.
Which McLaren knocked back. And, I mean, to give Brendan Hartley his full name, it's Under Pressure Brendan Hartley.
Yeah, which is how he's been described at every given opportunity by every media outlet.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for him actually a little bit because he's had 3 retirements now and they've all been because another car has hit him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not exactly had the best to look out there.
No.
Toro Rosso's team manager, Graham Watson, has given Hartley his full backing. That's New Zealand-born Toro Rosso team manager, Graham Watson. Now, I don't know if that's got anything to do with it or not.
It may not.
Very
it may not have
possibly.
anything. But there's
But
also...
unfortunately, Graham Watson has also said we may not have a say in the matter when it comes to him carrying on.
Yeah, I mean, Honda have said if either of... There are 2 F2 drivers who have Honda support, and they've said if either of them get enough points for a super license, they want them in Toro Rosso next year.
Ooh.
I don't think they will, to be honest.
one
Neither
of
of them are towards the top end.
Both
but
of them would need to, I think, finish in the... Either of them would need to finish in the top 3.
Yeah.
And at the moment,
It's not happening.
the top 4 or 5 of F2 is completely locked out.
Yeah.
There is also the final saying who gets into a blue car with a Red Bull on it.
Helmut Marko.
Is Helmut Marko. He is the one that will make the decision who is racing for both of those teams.
Yeah.
And if he wants Hartley out, there's nothing Hartley can do. I think it would be a shame because he's not as bad as he's been made out to be.
No.
The 3 races that he did for the team last season, he didn't start a race without a penalty. So he was always on the back foot.
Yeah.
And this season, he's getting run into quite a lot. But he's proved he can put that car where it's meant to be, and sometimes a little bit further up.
Yeah. Yeah,
At times.
He was the unlucky one in qualifying in Monaco, and this time round, Gasly was the unlucky one when it came to, qualifying position. If both Toro Rossos could qualify, where that car actually deserves to be on pace, then they could have quite a strong race, but we're yet to see it.
Yeah, I think that car is capable of possibly challenging for Q3.
Possibly.
No, I think it is a Q3 challenger. Yeah.
I think it's up there with Renault and Force India for what it can do.
Yeah.
When they've got luck on the side and when the whole thing works.
Yeah.
I mean, Gasly's problem this week was he was using the new spec engine up to qualifying. They found a problem with it, had to replace it with the old spec engine, which was, as we found out, slower. Managed to get the new spec engine repaired, or put parts in it for the race. I think he's now going to take a grid penalty every time he changes any component now,
Possibly, yes.
and actually does enough to get himself up to 11th. Shenanigan free, I would have said as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
don't
pretty
recall him
shenanigan free.
having any issues,
But
really.
no, I think Toro Rosso are on the up this season, and I think all the pressure on Hartley isn't going to be helping. I think give the guy a break. Give him a chance. If he does a couple of races where nothing goes wrong with the car
And he's the one who does the problems.
and the problems are him, then yeah, fine, okay. Then you maybe start to think, is Formula One not the best place for him, and should he go back to WEC? But if he manages to pull a decent performance out, stick with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sauber next. More points. Well,
Well,
Point.
Point.
1 point.
point for Charles Leclerc.
3 points finishes in the last 4 races.
Yeah, that kid is looking like the real deal.
Absolutely, yeah. He really is. Him and Pierre Gasly together, I think both of them will be spearheading the next new crop of Formula One drivers to be winning races and challenging for titles who
Yeah.
haven't done previously. I think you'd be looking at those two.
Yeah, I think when the Norris, Markelov, Russell, Albon brigade make it into Formula One,
That's the next law, isn't
they're
it?
the one. Those are the two that they're going to be chasing down because
Yeah.
they've got the head start.
Yeah.
Maybe Ocon as well, as the slightly
Yeah.
more advanced of that.
Possibly,
era.
yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. But yeah, Sauber, quite a binary race for Sauber. We usually talk about Haas having binary races, but Sauber had a bit of a.
Ericsson was just entirely anonymous.
He was
I
second
can't
to last
remember
of the
him
runners,
at
I
all.
think.
third
Pretty much
to last, I
Third
think.
last. He was 15th. He was ahead of Van Dorn and
Right.
Sorokin. But yeah, I won't say he went back to old school Marcus Ericsson because he kept it pointing in the right direction on the straights.
Yeah. And we know that Sauber is a better package this year than it was last year or even the year before
I'd
that.
say it's the best Sauber that we've seen for a good 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Sauber now got 14 points this season, and I think that means also Charles Leclerc has got 14 points this season.
Yeah.
No, Ericsson got
Has Ericsson
points in
scored?
Bahrain, did he not? It was like his first points since
Oh,
forever.
Yes,
Oh,
he
yeah,
has.
good
He
point,
has.
yeah.
I do apologise. Yes,
Yeah, good point. You make an excellent rebuke.
but yeah, just everything about Sauber is looking so much better this year. The fact that we're talking about Ericsson not being last.
Well, that's a bonus straight off the bat.
Yeah,
But he's got a teammate in Charles Leclerc who is just, it's difficult to say. It's always difficult to say with young drivers.
Sauber are on 12 points, by the way.
12
10
points.
of which are Leclerc's and
Two are
two
Ericsson's.
from Ericsson.
But Charles Leclerc he really looks like the kind of, give him a big car, he'll do the job.
Yeah.
Sort of guy. Not necessarily sort of Schumacher stature, but give him that car, world championships will come his way.
Yeah, I mean, you say not Schumacher stature, but I mean, it took Schumacher
2 or 3 seasons.
3
yeah.
seasons. I mean, he looked good on his debut in the Jordan. Benetton snapped him up immediately, and as soon as he got into a car that was capable of winning races, he started getting himself on the podium and winning, and by '94
Yeah,
was world champion.
that's it.
That was 3.5 seasons it took
Yeah.
for him to get to a world championship. Charles Leclerc has had a third of a season,
And he's already looking like
and he's already looking like he's got the potential to be.
the bit between his teeth.
Yeah, he's got the potential to be Schumacher, Hamilton-esque, Vettel.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won titles on his debut seasons in the last 2 years in the formula he's been in.
Yeah.
And God, if he was in a Ferrari this year,
Who knows?
Yeah.
Rookie world champion.
I mean, yeah, we'll do speculation corner later on because there's quite a lot to talk about in that. And his name does crop up. But I'm liking Sauber this year.
I am, and I like the Sauber team, but they're definitely a racing team again, and not a team that's just having to. They're not a team that's just having to just sort of piddle around at the back of the grid and not do anything.
Dan, unfortunately, is having to depart tonight's podcast because he nearly left his phone.
Mission for Dan.
We'll see you later, Dan.
See you later.
Bye, Dan.
Bye, listeners.
Bye, Dan.
So that's just the three of us then.
That's an early retirement.
It's an early retirement for Dan. Yeah, not.
5-place pod penalty for the next race.
He's off at one of his secret international missions, isn't he?
He is. We could do with getting a guest in, but I know Sean's busy tonight.
He is.
Where were we?
Just talking about Sauber, how they're actually, they're a racing team now and not just piddling about at the back of the grid. They're actually able to take a fight to other teams. I mean, doesn't feel that long ago. It is now 6 years, but it doesn't feel that long ago since Checo Perez was getting like podiums with them.
He was fighting Alonso for a race win at one point with them.
Yeah, and he almost caught Hamilton at Monza for a race win as well. Unheard of now, but Sauber get their shit together. It could be Charles Leclerc doing that next year if they retain him.
That would be interesting to see, but I think they're gonna struggle to hang on to him. But we'll get to that in a bit. Force India. Now we're into the binary section for real. Ocon 9th, Perez 14th, which is where he was just about all the race.
Yes.
Yeah, he stopped early, didn't he, for
He
super softs?
had a problem on the safety car restart. He came together with signs and got punted out wide.
Went sideways in turn
and
one.
never got it back.
Absolutely killed the tyres. Because we thought he'd got a puncture.
Yes, it looked like it was...
Wobbling.
Yeah.
all over the place. I think he stayed out for about 2 laps and then then pitted.
gave it up. Yeah.
Because the tyres were absolutely ruined. And then he just seemed to run 14th for the rest of the race.
Yeah, that happens occasionally, doesn't it? You see a driver get knocked down the field a little bit, just can't recover.
Yeah.
I think it was more than tyre damage that he got when
could have been
when
something
he went
underneath,
sideways.
yeah.
I think he lost part of the floor and he just had...
Maybe it's
Possibly.
also to do with the fact that the cars around him as well were carrying better packages because Mercedes didn't bring an engine upgrade.
the much vaunted upgrade that they were going to have that turned out not to be reliable enough to use.
Yeah, because I had one issue right at the very end of its test run.
But what's the point in using it unless you know it works perfectly?
Exactly.
Yep.
It's Formula One. You don't take risks like that when
do not.
there's that much at stake.
Particularly given how many races engines have to do this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is 7, but it just puts them back on schedule instead of
Yeah.
ahead of schedule. Decent enough race for Ocon though.
Yeah, he had a horrible pit stop as well.
Yeah, lost
Yeah,
2 seconds.
couple of seconds on the. Was it one of the rear wheels wasn't ready
Something
for
like
him?
It
that.
was the
yeah, or
rear
something
jack.
didn't go on properly.
The rear jack
Yeah.
didn't-
Oh, rear jack didn't
That
go
was
in
it.
properly.
Didn't
Yeah.
connect.
That was it.
And he was stuck in the pits. But he's showing that he can actually fight. And
I think we knew that already,
Yeah.
didn't we?
I'd like to see him in a better car.
Yeah.
Because we keep saying the Force India isn't quite there. They may improve. They do come good late, but I'd like to see him in a better car with a team without as much turmoil as Force India are going through.
Yeah.
And you want turmoil for a team. The bloody soap opera going on there.
Yeah.
Haas. I would say the less said, the better.
Yeah, bit of a weekend to forget, really.
Well, Grosjean did all right during the race. It was just everything leading up to the race was very Romain Grosjean, wasn't it? It
Yes.
was failures, it was crashes, it was...
A groundhog in the nose.
Yeah, it was literally... They had to put out a statement saying, we haven't got very many spare parts, so we've asked us drivers if they could just not crash.
Yeah, they said after he hit the groundhog that they'd only brought 4 front wings with them.
Yeah, well, they held back their first major updates. Most teams do that in Spain, but they decided to wait for this one, so they've presumably got parts that they've literally just finished building and don't have
Yeah.
stocks.
And they didn't bring any of the previous spec just in case they ran out.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. You can't predict running into wildlife.
Well, you can. It was seen at the side of the racetrack a couple of laps before it wandered out. Someone could have grabbed it. I think that was what Grosjean was complaining about. But
Yeah, and then of course.
But I mean, you can't predict bringing the parts based on hitting wildlife.
no, this is very true.
And also, not sure you can predict an intercooler failure in the pit lane. All of the vaping.
Moments after coming out of the garage.
That I mean
Yeah.
that went spectacularly,
Yeah.
and I mean for about 30 seconds it was it might be fixable, and then you saw the shots of him getting out of the car and hugging everyone. I didn't realise when intercoolers went, they actually went with that much smoke.
It was very dramatic, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
was it smoke? Was it steam? Hard to tell.
Apparently it smelt like burning oil.
Oh, nice.
That's what Ted Kravitz was saying in the pit lane.
It looked oily, didn't it? It
Yeah,
was
there
that sort
was-
of whitish blue.
Yeah, there was like the blue tinge to it. But I mean, normally we say has a binary, a pair of zeros.
12th and 13th, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But a
Gro-
car
Gro-
that's looked like the fourth best car on the grid
Mm.
at certain times in the early part of the season. That's maybe not where they will have wanted to have finished.
yeah. I just wonder if they were under instructions to go as easy as possible on the engines.
Engine saving.
Yeah,
Possibly.
just because of Grosjean's problem.
Yeah, maybe.
And it could happen again, especially when Kimi Räikkönen had the same problem with an intercooler on the grid.
Yeah.
And
Or
I'm
did
afraid-
he?
I think they changed it as a precaution, didn't
Did they?
Or they did something to it as a precaution.
Right.
It's not a big part.
It's not, no.
So it can be changed easily. Unfortunately, it's a small part that when it goes wrong can be
Causes issues.
Can be terminal.
Mm.
But yeah, I just wonder if what we didn't hear on the radio was don't go full racing.
Do you know what? I don't remember seeing Magnussen at all in that race. Aside from, I think, once maybe when he was blue flagged. I don't remember him doing anything. That was how anonymous he
I
was.
can't remember actually
An
putting anything
anonymous
about him on the blog.
Magnussen. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was a great deal going on with him.
No, I think I once remember him getting in between Hamilton and Ricciardo when they were quite close, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Grosjean, though, was as a recovery drive on the Sunday, was that's okay, I guess. But I mean, again, for where Haas have been early in the season, they really need to pick up their game and do a little bit better than this.
Yeah, I mean, they should be where one of the Force Indias or both of the Renaults were, to be honest. And they should. I mean, well,
Round about where the Renaults were is
Yeah.
fair, I think.
K-Mag not having any dramas pre-race, qualifying as standard, finishing behind a Sauber.
Yeah.
They've got to have been holding them back. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, possible. As I say, engine management saving or fuel saving, possibly even brake saving as well. We know how Haas and brakes has been a wonderful
mainly
so
Yeah,
Grosjean.
I think Grosjean had a brake change during one of the Friday practices. Can't remember which one.
I think that's just pretty standard for him.
I
these
well, I
days,
think it
isn't
is, yes, but
Gets in the car, does an installation lap, complains about the brakes. They change the brakes. They tell him to change the brakes. He goes out, says the brakes are fine.
Yeah.
Turns out it's the same brakes that he actually started with. They just sent him to the back of the garage so he couldn't see that they were doing nothing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's half a dozen Haas engineers stood around having a cuppa.
I think they did say as well with Magnussen, I think he qualified 11th. I'm sure someone said that's his best qualifying in Canada, so it might just not be his track.
Ah, possibly. If that's the case, then very possibly. Yeah.
What kind of track is a K-Mag
I don't
track?
know what a K-Mag
Yeah.
track is, to be honest.
Australia.
yeah.
Yeah,
Got
maybe.
his podium there. Was doing all right there until the
Looked good
wheels
until
weren't
the pit stop
happening.
went completely
Yes.
south. Actually, if you're in Australia, do things go south or do they go north?
Well, all gardens are north facing because that's where the sun is.
Renault then. Talking of bright yellow things. See what I did there.
Did, yeah. It was quite good.
Hulk in 7th and Sainz in 8th. Solid.
It's all right, yeah.
Good. Seem to be enjoying their own power unit upgrade. Sort of good, solid performance. Again, quite anonymous from Renault throughout the race. But
I don't know, because Perez wanted Sainz black flagged for
Perez
that
was just a bit excited,
move
though,
that
wasn't he?
pulled on him that didn't look like a move, just Perez outbraked himself and got it wrong and sideways.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sainz should have been black flagged. Yeah,
No.
Not really.
No. But yeah, this upgraded Renault engine. Well, there's 4 of them. There's 4 of them in the top 8. It can't be all that bad.
Yeah.
I think there's still big things to come from Renault this season.
The
Something.
Renault Works team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Confident that they can win the development race, if you will. If Haas are starting to slip, as we suspected they were when we spoke to Scarbs early season, pre-season, he said about how Haas always start off strongly, but then sort of fall backwards a little bit as the season goes on. If this is where Haas start to fall back, I fully expect Renault to pick up the mantle of that sort of best of the rest, and possibly even able to close that gap to Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes in front by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think if the gap's still there, it's not going to be as big as it was.
Yeah.
And
And then there's a Red Bull panic to make because Sainz, do we?
Well,
what
that could
do
be
we
yeah,
do?
that could be something. If they want to keep Signs,
Yeah.
they will need to impress him with the development of their car.
Red Bull have got to decide about practically everything
Yes.
at various points of this season. Mm-hmm. Danny Ricciardo's up for a contract renewal.
Yes.
Carlos Sainz, they have to choose whether to take up his option or not and to keep him as a Red Bull driver. And then if they do keep him in the Red Bull organisation, what do they do with him and where do they put him? Do they carry on loading him out? Mm-hmm. What's going to be powering the cars next year? Mm-hmm. What do you do about Verstappen, although that's kind of gone on the back burner this weekend because he had a good performance again and didn't crash. First time this season.
I was going to say, I think it is his best
Yeah.
for crashing.
And didn't headbutt anyone either.
No.
It was a Daily Mail reporter, though, that asked that question.
No,
so
I'd
it
happily
might be
headbutt a Daily Mail
excusable.
reporter any day of the week. But yeah, Red Bull have to choose what to do with just about everything.
I don't know if they get a choice on Signs. If he decides he wants to stay at Renault and Renault can find the money to buy him out of whatever situation he's in with Red Bull, then he might just want to stay there. It's a better situation for him.
Yeah, might just sort of. I'm staying here now.
Would he want to be Verstappen's teammate again? I don't
Probably
think
not.
he would.
They-
If
they-
Ricciardo goes somewhere else.
Yeah, they didn't get on last time.
No.
Yeah, stick it out at a works team and see how far you can get. That would be my thought process if I were Carlos Sainz, and I'm clearly not.
Your hair just does not come close.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No, it never will do.
No, nobody in this room, and I'm including 2 cats in this. Nobody has the Carlos Sainz hair. Powered him to 8th though. Hulkenberg, 7th is the new 5th.
No, I refuse to believe this.
Well, he keeps qualifying in 7th.
He's qualifying in 7th and then occasionally finds himself in 7th, but that's because we've got a top 6 that's sort of locked out at the moment.
But we didn't see him running. We've not seen him running 5th for a long time.
No, but you remember when we had a top 4 that was locked out? He was always running 5th.
Yeah.
Now we've got a top 6 that's locked out. He's always running 7th. Hulkenberg is.
So that means 7th is the new 5th.
No, it isn't.
You just talked yourself into it and then
No, I
denied it
didn't.
at the same time.
No. 7th is definitely 7th, and 5th is definitely 5th.
Can't
Yes.
argue with that.
Yeah. I would rate this a perfect podcast, 5 out of 7.
I'm giving it 7 out of 5.
If you've seen that thing, that meme, the 5 out of 7 thing.
No.
No.
Perfect score. Some guy gives Fight Club a perfect score of 5 out of 7 on his own Facebook wall. one
Okay.
of his friends tears him apart for it.
I'll have to look out for that one. Moving on to Red Bull. 3rd and 4th. This was the weekend that Verstappen needed.
It was the weekend Red Bull needed, I think, really. We kind of expected Red Bull to... Remember when I said at the beginning of the show, Canada was the opposite of everything? It was the opposite of everything for the teams as well. Like McLaren had an awful weekend, and we expected them to be a little bit further up the road. We were expecting Red Bull to have quite poor performance. Yet Verstappen was fastest in every practice session. Ricciardo was fastest in Q2. Was
yes.
it?
Yeah.
He broke the track record in Q2.
And then you got 3rd and 4th in the race after qualifying 3rd and 6th.
Yeah,
Come
I mean,
on.
Ricciardo didn't have the pace in Q3 that he had in Q2, but I think he actually made a mistake on his.
Possibly.
on
I
his
think he
last-
didn't get the flawless lap
Yeah.
at all in Q3.
No, so props to Red Bull. Maybe they've made this Tag Heuer Renault engine upgrade really work for them, or maybe just maybe thinking out of crazy town here, maybe they have the best chassis on the grid.
It's possible.
I can't argue with that. I think they do.
And that's why McLaren have been quiet about it lately, because they've got the same power unit now as Red Bull. They're even allowed to use the Renault name. Red Bull aren't.
Well, I think Red Bull would be allowed, but they sold the naming rights to Tag after the last major argument.
Yeah.
And Tag have still got the deal. And Renault wouldn't want the Renault name on a car that's got Aston Martin as a title sponsor as well.
Yeah, I can
They
sort
probably
of
wouldn't want the
understand
Renault
that.
name on a car that's quicker than them either.
Probably not. Yeah, it was definitely a cheerier team
Yeah.
this week.
There was some shenanigans in the build-up as well with Ricardo's engine penalty that didn't become a thing.
Yeah,
Which was very strange.
What was it last Monday?
Yeah, last Monday, Adrian Newey was at some black tie function where he was asked about Ricardo and
Talking of
Monaco.
which, they were showing clips of it on Sky's coverage over the weekend. How awkward does Sky's Craig Slater look in black tie?
He's pretty awkward most of the time.
I mean,
he's
he
a
looks
fairly
more awkward than he is when he's
character.
wearing an anorak.
Yeah, no, he is a bit of an awkward. But yeah, Adrian Newey was collared at some function and asked about Ricardo and Monaco and whatever, and he said he would definitely have to take a grid penalty, possibly multiple grid penalties, and many spaces back of where he qualifies.
Which of course broke on a Monday when we recorded last
Of
week's show on
course.
Sunday.
Yeah,
course.
of course, yeah. Standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the drivers start doing their media, is it Thursday? I
Yeah.
think they start doing that. And Ricardo's like, oh, I don't know, we'll see after practice. And Verstappen's like, oh, he's definitely not going to have a grid penalty. Everyone was saying something different. It was very...
But Verstappen was right.
Verstappen was right. Whether or not he was deliberately right or that was just his line, I don't know.
I'm threatening to headbutt a Daily Mail journalist. Can't do wrong in my eyes. But yeah, it turned into a really good weekend for him for what could have been an absolute binary disaster.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Monaco was great for them, and after that we were saying, okay, high downforce circuits where power is not so much a factor is where Red Bull are going to be, consistently, scoring podiums and probably, opportunistic wins as well. Canada is quite a power reliant circuit, but they managed to really pull it out of the bag and just, great performance from Red Bull.
Although one thing I did notice about Ricciardo was he was told when he was about 3 seconds behind Max, if Max goes, follow him and keep up with him, just to keep do your most to keep Hamilton behind you.
Yeah.
Max went, and Ricciardo didn't have the race pace to actually follow him because the gap stretched out to about 8 seconds, and he was starting to have to defend against Hamilton a lot. Up to about 4 or 5 laps to go, and watch out for penalties in France.
Yeah, I think that was consistent with what we'd seen in practice, though. I think Verstappen was just quicker at that track that weekend.
Yeah, I've got my tinfoil engine saving hat on again.
Very possibly. Because at that point,
yeah.
Hamilton was starting to have a few issues as well, so it might have been that there was a radio call we didn't hear saying, actually, Hamilton's struggling, don't worry about it.
Well, Hamilton was having cooling problems all the way through the start of the
Yes.
race. We'll move on to Mercedes now, because that's the reason Hamilton pitted early, was to
Adjust his cooling
adjust a
settings.
cooling louvre.
Yes, and that's what let Ricciardo get past
Yeah,
in the pit stops.
and damn near let Raikkonen get past as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Hamilton was struggling with an overheating engine. Bottas did not put a foot wrong from Saturday lunchtime onwards.
Yeah, he was in. It's fair to say Mercedes were the second, possibly third best car in Canada.
Possibly.
Ferrari were easily the best, as proven by just how easy Sebastian Vettel made that win look. But when you're armed with the same equipment as Lewis Hamilton and you do a much better job than him, we had a Facebook message saying, "Hang on a second. A few weeks ago, you were saying that Bottas wouldn't be driving for Mercedes next year, and now you're saying."
And if he'd have carried on the way that he had been at the start, where it looked like the pressure was getting to him,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been. And he has turned things round. Sorry for changing our opinions based on the evidence that we get presented to us. Too harsh?
No,
No, I
not at
think
all. That's pretty
that's
much
all
what I
right.
said in response. It's just like, it's an ever changing sport, isn't it? This is the thing. And just as Paul said then, a few races ago, it looked like, oh God, what's wrong with Bottas? And then, turns out there's not much wrong with Bottas. He can, on days like Canada, outperform Lewis Hamilton when they are given exactly the same opportunity to.
Yeah.
He outqualified him on the Saturday and he outraced him on the Sunday. And the first thing you want to do is beat your teammate. All right, okay, Valtteri was nowhere near Sebastian Vettel out front. Couldn't keep up with him. But I don't think Lewis would have been able to, had the positions been switched. Not been switched, but if it was the other way around and Lewis was in second, I don't think Lewis could have kept pace with Sebastian either.
No, I don't think so. One thing that only just found out today, Bottas was down to a critically low amount of fuel
He did say that after the race
at
that
the,
he
end,
was fuel
at the end of the
saving.
race, but he actually lifted and coasted over the line. And that's why Verstappen was so close behind him.
Yeah.
That was when the race should have actually finished on laps
Yes,
at the end of lap
course,
70.
yes.
Yeah, we mentioned this, yeah.
Not yet.
Not
but
really. We've alluded to
no,
it, I think.
No, Flaggate is on the list.
Right.
But that would account for his performance. He was wringing every ounce of bloody fuel out of that car.
He defended brilliantly Bottas defended brilliantly from Verstappen in through turns 1, 2, and 3, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after the safety car restart as well, Verstappen was looking really keen.
Yeah, and Bottas was just like, you're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is my opinion at the moment, Valtteri Bottas deserves his seat at Mercedes. And, as I just said, in Canada, he was the better of the two Mercedes drivers.
Yeah.
Which is very much a Hamilton track as well. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
fact, I think
what was
all-
it, 4 wins there?
Six.
Six wins.
Six,
the
it's
last
3 in a
3
row,
years
yeah.
before this year. In fact, all 5 of us that do the podcast predicted Hamilton on the podium,
Yeah.
and we were all wrong.
Yes.
I think Paul, you were the only one that said Bottas.
Yes. Yeah, we'll look at
That's
we'll look
how
at,
shocking the Bottas performance was.
we'll look at that at the end. Moves with Ferrari. Vettel. That was Red Bull era Vettel.
Yes.
It was.
Gets a good start, drives up into the distance. You don't see him again until he's crossed the line.
I don't recall seeing the finger though. Has he retired the finger?
Well, I don't know because of everything that was or wasn't going on at the finish, and nobody knew when the finish was. Maybe the finger happened when he was told he'd
Possibly.
won and the race
You-
was over.
Did you hear about his whole... We all heard the radio message, didn't we? Tell them not to wave the checkered flag until the race is over.
Yeah.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, his concern apparently was that some fans at grandstands would think that was the end of the race and would run onto the track, even though there's actually still 1 lap to go.
Yeah.
Which, for a racing driver to be thinking about that while still doing those kind of speeds is fairly impressive.
But we all know
Yeah.
Vettel's brain is wired differently to everybody else's because he can think about 900 things at a time whilst setting a fastest lap.
Yeah, he's talking about the only significant radio message between Vettel and the team before his first pit stop. Well, before his pit stop was, do you think we could maybe go +1 on the wing?
Yeah. Yeah, because regular guest Sean Kelly,
Yeah,
who's on a different podcast right this minute, we'll let him.
yeah.
He's-
Friendly podcast.
Yeah, it's one that we like and they like us, if you're listening. But he tweeted that he'd been monitoring Vettel's radio communication all race, and that was the only thing of note that Vettel said.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate just gets on with it.
Had the superior car, galloped off into the distance. As you just said, that was Red Bull Vettel.
Yeah. Question has to be raised. Where was Kimi? What was going on with Kimi?
If we're gonna do the whole sort of Valtteri Bottas Lewis Hamilton thing, we've got to do the Sebastian Vettel Kimi Raikkonen thing.
Yeah.
Raikkonen wasn't. He was on it early, but after the safety car restart, he just didn't appear to have the pace to keep up with the others.
Yeah, I mean, he lost a place to Ricardo immediately.
Yeah. Well, it was. We've said, haven't we, about this breakaway top six as it is
Yeah.
now.
He is the sixth.
He is sixth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Not in the championship standings. I don't
No,
think he is.
I think
No.
Verstappen is
sixth.
because of crashing.
Yeah, because of the crashing. But but yeah, I mean, Kimi is looking like the sixth
Yeah.
driver out of all of them.
which, when he's in either
like
either
Kimi.
the best or the second best car, he should be no lower than fourth.
Yeah, I like Kimi though.
We all like Kimi. That's the problem.
He needs to win a race or get some podiums more podiums.
Well, what is it? 101 races since his last win.
And 26 podiums.
But what is it? 20? It's either 24 or 26. So he needs to get more podiums. One in every four. That's a great return for any driver. But it's a Ferrari driver that's been a world champion.
I know, yeah. But all the eggs in the Ferrari World Championship basket are firmly in Sebastian's basket, aren't they? Let's be honest. They're not in...
You really strangled that metaphor, didn't you? You just lost that one.
Yeah.
You went in too hot, locked up, came out sideways.
Just like Valtteri Bottas. He did make a mistake, actually, didn't he?
He did.
Bottas, yeah.
He did run wide
Yeah.
when he was catching Vettel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when he was passing somebody under DRS.
I think he was
Yes.
lapping Perez.
Possibly.
And
He ended
got,
up on the grass a little bit.
yeah, went onto the grass and then got unlapped.
Yeah, that was his foot wrong that he put all
That was the
weekend.
1 foot
The
wrong.
one toe, I
Yeah.
think, maybe.
But Kimi, just bring back the real Kimi.
I think the problem is Kimi's job, realistically, is to take points off Mercedes. And he's not doing that at the moment. And with Leclerc
And to be
looking
rear
as good
gunner
as he
as well
does,
for-
yeah,
To be rear gunner for Seb.
you've
He's
got to
not-
be
yeah.
near the rear, and he's not.
He's near the wrong rear.
Yeah.
This is going into very surreal territory. I mean, there's all the rumours flying around. We might as well do speculation and silly season corner now.
Why
we
not?
can do, yeah, but we just want to say brilliant drive from Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah,
He
but I mean, there's all the
fully-
rumours flying around that it's going to be Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari next season because they may take a punt on a young driver for the first time in God knows how long. 'Cause I think the average age for somebody coming into Ferrari is 27.
Right.
That
and
sounds about right.
Leclerc's, what, 20, 21?
20, he's a little bit older,
think
I
he's
think. He's
22.
22, 23, I think.
Right.
But he's younger than 27.
Yes.
So
Which means the next driver they employ will have to be 30-something.
Fernando Alonso.
comes with his own hat.
Yes, there is that.
So yeah, there's the story's buzzing around that Ferrari might actually take a punt, and could this be Kimi's last season? Then again, how many years have we said this? How many years have we done this podcast?
4.
And we're in our
Fourth
we're in
season.
our fourth season,
Yeah.
and every
It's always
season it's
Kimi's
been,
last season.
This has got to be time up for Kimi.
The thing is, it is going to happen one day.
We
Yeah.
will just have to get used to that. The other thing is Alonso. Is this his last year?
I think if he wins Le Mans, he will want to go to IndyCar. So
Yeah.
he can do the Indy 500.
You found the Zach Brown quote
Yes.
earlier.
Zach Brown has. I think they're separate quotes, but they kind of go together. He's, I think, told the American media that McLaren will definitely be looking to come into IndyCar next year, and then he's been telling the F1 media that Alonso will definitely be driving for McLaren next year.
Is it not under the McLaren family?
Yes, I
So
think
that's under the broad sense to me.
yes.
Says
So
that
if McLaren have an IndyCar team, Alonso could
will
be in that.
will be McLaren's
Andretti
IndyCar
McLaren.
driver.
Andretti McLaren.
Rahal
Why
McLaren.
not?
Maybe.
They're the two teams that have been most strongly linked with. Obviously, the Andretti connection from last year,
Yeah, still there. Yeah.
and yeah, there's talk about Rahal also being interested in some kind of tie-up. I don't know if Ray Hall and United Autosports have had some kind of working relationship before, but it kind of may make sense. But that involves going through lots of WEC and IndyCar history.
Yeah.
Might even been looking at a spreadsheet, and I'm not into doing that at the minute.
Are you sure?
Really positive.
Okay.
Right, let's bring up our predictions from last week and see how we did.
Very poorly and quite wrong.
Yes, fill in for time, it's just loading.
Ooh, actually, one bit of silly season we didn't go into too deeply. I don't think we talked that much about Lando Norris. Or did I zone out when we did?
No, we did mention.
We mentioned him earlier,
but being his move to Toro Rosso
It was
being knocked back by McLaren.
yes.
But
One other thing with the Lando Norris thing, if he had ended up in the Toro Rosso this year and Ricciardo goes somewhere else, has he missed a chance to fast track himself into a Red Bull?
I don't think
You don't think so?
No. Lando Norris has been very open with that. He's said that if McLaren don't find me a seat, I'm not afraid to go anywhere else
Yes.
to look for one. I'm not entirely sure that he would be so keen on the Toro Rosso Red Bull route.
Fair enough. I had seen it mentioned, so I thought I'd bring
Yeah.
it
I
up.
mean, the big
Yeah.
problem is if he wins F2.
Yes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They've got to do something with him
Yeah,
then.
something has to happen. The best thing that could possibly happen for him would be to, as daft as it sounds, come second in F2 this year. If Alonso decides to stay at McLaren in F1,
No, because then they'll just kick Van Dorn out.
I think they might do that anyway.
Stoffel could actually be dead man walking.
Yeah. I don't want him to be because I like Stoffel Van Dorn. Watched him rip up all the junior series, but he's just not on it in Formula One.
I think he's the warning to them if Norris does win F2 that you can't be just palming him off somewhere for a year and hoping
Yeah.
it's still going to be there when he comes back.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, Japanese Super Formula isn't the.
Yeah. It's not great.
it's similar to the way that F2's run.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same infrastructure behind it because there's a lot of tie up between F1 and F2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And
Also the whole Honda thing that was going on at the time.
yeah. I think Stoffel is a victim of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite probably. If that McLaren was as competitive as it was 10 years ago, Stoffel could be another Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's kind of looking like Lando Norris will be, but he's got to get in that right car. He can't.
I mean, how much
he
would it
can't-
destroy your confidence though if you've got a winning mentality and you've won all the way through your career,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you're given something that's not capable of getting anywhere close to winning?
Yeah.
Like what's happening with Lance Stroll.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Lando, if he's in that McLaren seat next year, has to perform like Charles Leclerc is performing in the Sauber
Yeah.
this year. He has to really outperform that car and stupidly outperform whoever is his teammate on occasions. Not every single race, but just on occasion, just really blitz away whoever his teammate is.
yeah.
We'll be sat there thinking, how the hell Lando Norris qualified 5th in his first Grand Prix in Australia in that car?
Yeah.
That's what he needs to be doing if he's going to do a season or longer at McLaren. Because what he can't afford to do is, no young driver can afford to do this really, is put their faith in the team that have got them as far as the cusp of Formula One. They jump straight into the sport and stay there for 3 years when the car is terrible. Sergei Sorokin. Do you know what I mean? Like Sorokin actually started coming through in Sauber. He was on the fringes of Sauber when he started being mentioned for a Formula One
Yeah.
seat. That was like 5-6 years ago. Oh, this exciting youngster Sergei Sorokin's going to do an FP1 for Sauber, and then he was Renault, and now he's Williams, and now he's in the Williams seat. But that's not the right
he's
car
in a
for him.
Williams seat in a Williams that is now being outperformed by a Renault and a Sauber.
Yeah, it's not the right car for him to be in at all in his first season in Formula One. And it's unfortunate. You've got to hope that, Artem Markelov, George Russell, Jack Aitken,
Who owns Jack Aitken? Is it
Renault.
Is it Renault?
He is
He's
Renault's
Renault's-
reserve driver.
Yeah.
Markelov's Renault.
Yes.
And obviously George Russell, we know is Mercedes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, if you're listening.
He probably isn't, but hello,
You
George.
never know. And hello, Felix,
Yeah,
as well, if you're
I think
listening.
of like the top runners in F2, Alexander Albon's the only one that doesn't have a tie-up with someone. He was in the Red Bull Junior program for a while, but they let him go.
So were you.
I think everyone's been in the Red Bull Junior program.
So was Dizzy Cat.
Dizzy Cat, yeah, she's been in there.
Dan was in the Red Bull Junior program.
Why do you think he's disappeared to now?
Is that where he's got
He's
to
off
go?
to have his race
Yeah,
seat
he's
fitting
getting
to
seat
replace
fitting.
Hartley.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
Toro Rosso.
yeah, Dan's replacing Hartley in
It's
France.
between him and Marc Marquez.
Marc Marquez would be a great
We've
wild
not-
card,
we've not
wouldn't it?
we've not even mentioned the Honda MotoGP drivers testing the Toro Rosso. Apparently, Marquez was showing very good potential,
Yeah.
and he could.
Mark Webber said he's very good.
Yeah,
Very
Mark
good
Webber,
driver.
who was slower than Valentino Rossi when he tested an F1 car
Yeah.
a few years back.
yeah. Could we end up seeing Marquez getting bored of winning everything there is to win in MotoGP? All right, I'll do what Rossi didn't do, and this'll show him.
I mean, Danny Pedrosa is looking for work. he could do it.
But Honda don't own him anymore.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So
That's why he's looking for work.
Yeah. So it's not going to be in a Toro Rosso. Right, predictions. Top three: Vettel, Bottas, Verstappen. Chris, Hamilton,
No.
Vettel,
No.
Bottas.
No.
2 points
2 points for getting the two people
in the wrong
Right,
place.
right driver, wrong position.
right drivers, wrong places.
Dan, not here to defend himself. Hamilton,
No.
Raikkonen,
No.
Perez.
No.
So Azerbaijan.
Yes. And as only because he was going to predict exactly the same thing that Chris was going to do last week, and this was his backup plan.
I see.
Anybody?
No.
Okay.
No more Baku jokes.
Oh. Lee, Bottas,
No.
Ricardo,
No.
Hamilton,
No.
a point. Me, Hamilton,
No.
Bottas,
Yes.
Yes, one correct position.
Ricardo,
No.
No. Almost.
almost 3 points. Sean, Verstappen,
No.
No.
Hamilton,
No.
Raikkonen.
No.
No.
So, as things stand, Dan is still leading the table on 22 points. I'm in second on 20. Chris, you pulled away from Lee. You're in third on 19.
Yes.
Lee's on 16. And can I just point out that the only professional journalist out of the lot of us... Sorry, the only professional sport journalist out of the lot of us is on 12 points.
I'm much better at predicting what's not going to happen. Actually,
well,
predicting
yes.
what's going to happen is a disaster.
So, for the next race, shall we predict our bottom 17?
Possibly. Possibly.
That might be incredibly difficult.
Yes.
In the right order as well.
Yeah.
All the right notes, just not necessarily. Right. One of the main talking points to come out of the race was Flaggate.
Yes.
The checkered flag was waved about a lap and a half early.
By Winnie Harlow.
Yes.
And it wasn't her fault.
No.
She was given it. You don't walk up into the finish box if you're the celebrity that's waving the checkered flag, grab the flag and just randomly start waving it. You have to be given it by an official.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
she wasn't on some crazy rampage. She
Yeah.
was meant to be there.
And the guy whose job it was to check when Vettel was on lap 70 lost count
Oh dear.
and gave her the flag early.
Yeah. I mean, she was interviewed on the grid beforehand by Martin Brundle, and he asked her, oh, are you big into F1? She was like, nope. So
Yeah.
she obviously didn't know what lap it was. Someone should have been.
And to be honest, she wouldn't have probably had chance to see what lap it was anyway when
She's busy with the
handlers were
flag.
taking her up to the start finish box.
Don't know if anyone else noticed, but she was also facing the wrong way whilst waving the checkered flag.
She's not an F1 fan.
She was she was looking towards turn one, wasn't she?
Yes.
Making sure she was seen, possibly.
I think that was more
Face
of,
the camera.
Yeah, that's where the camera
That's
is.
her
She's-
job.
She's a model. They've got a knack for doing that. So I think when they go on America's Top Model, they get fitted with a little camera detector, and it just automatically turns the head
Possibly, yes.
in the direction of whatever camera's got the red light on it. She's been getting a lot of crap on social media, and to that I say, for fuck's sake, stop it, because it is not her fault.
No.
She was just there to do a job, and the guy who was in charge of telling her when it was time for her to do a job got it wrong. So if anyone fucked up, it was the official.
Yeah, that's the job of a model, isn't it? Turn up when you're meant to, wait for your cue, off you go. She was given her cue.
Yeah.
The best tweet I did see, though, was 31st of December, 2300.
Yes.
Winnie Harlow. Happy New Year!
So basically, with the checkered flag being shown a lap early, it meant that the result, it was the same as a red flag, so it was counted back to
One lap.
Which means a very pissed off Daniel Ricciardo lost the fastest lap.
I think it was comedy pissed off, but I think it was genuinely news to him when he found out, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
because he put the fastest lap in at the last lap of the race, but it
Yes.
doesn't count.
It was lap 70 when the race finished on lap 68.
End of 60.
The checkered flag was waved during lap 69,
69.
so it was counted
Yeah.
back to the last completed lap by the leader, which was lap 68.
Yes.
Yeah, so he set a lap that doesn't exist.
Yes, and found out about it during an interview.
So, a rather...
Slightly awkward
Yeah,
moment,
slightly
wasn't it?
awkward,
Why is
but-
my teammate being given the fastest lap?
Yeah, but angry.
Yes.
But not actual
I don't think
angry.
really angry, no. I think
No.
it was...
Slightly bemused.
You do realise that means that DHL have to deliver the fastest lap award next door.
Yes. Send it to the
This is
neighbours.
true, yeah. Sorry you weren't in.
But Max was out, so we left it with Ricciardo anyway.
Yeah.
Stuff like that happens. People get the jobs wrong. It's not as bad as Pele forgetting to wave the checkered flag in Brazil when he'd been given it and told when to wave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is still the ultimate checkered flag cock-up.
Yes.
He was talking to somebody and waved it when I think whoever came in fourth was crossing the
So
line.
that really was his fault then. He
That-
was too
yeah.
busy gossiping and not paying attention.
Or filming another advert for something.
Which meant the race was still underway. But the checker flag came out, so they had to count it back to the lap that the race actually finished.
Which
on.
was the actual last lap.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out all right in the end.
It worked out all right in the end, but still never trust Pele with waving a flag.
Nah.
He thought he was offside or something. So yeah, if you feel like having a go at Winnie Harlow about waving the checkered flag wrong, don't bother.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Le Mans.
Yes.
I know nothing about Le Mans other than the fact some
well, it's
ex-Formula
24
One
hours
drivers.
long. It's in France.
That's the
Yes.
start. It's this weekend.
Yes.
Fernando Alonso is he's already thrown his hat into the ring.
His special hat for this weekend.
His Kamoa Le Mans Special Edition, Limited
in
Edition.
French colours.
Yes,
Yes.
red, white, and blue.
Or they
Right.
could be Toyota colours, I guess, because
It's the red and white
he
on
has
the
the
peak for
French
Toyota
flag,
and a French
doesn't he?
flag on the
Yes.
side.
Yes.
Right.
But there's quite a lot of F1 related representation
Yes.
in this weekend's race, which I don't think will be live blogging because we need to get another 96 Patreons before Saturday.
Exactly. It's not
It
happening.
could happen.
No, it's not happening.
If you want to become a Patreon, not just to make us blog Le Mans, but to support the show, then you can go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, and there's all sorts of rewards on there. Extra podcast, some t-shirts, which I'm just in the process of getting the new pay driver t-shirts designed, so they're going out very soon.
Cool.
And other stuff as well. But we do, like I say, we do this extra show, and all the money goes straight back into the podcast because you'll have noticed there's very little in the way of advertising.
Very little.
In fact, there's less in the way of advertising tonight because we haven't had any plugs for anyone's other shows,
No.
which usually happen within the first 45 seconds.
Does Lee do another show? He's never mentioned it.
Oh, you can't have been listening that constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if we get up to 250 Patreon subscribers, we'll live blog Le Mans. But as we've got plans to go to a barbecue this weekend, I don't think it's going to.
Yeah,
happen,
but I think the weather's got plans to rain, to be fair. So
in that case, we'll just put the grill on. So, what do we have for F1 fans? Looking down the list, there's obviously Fernando Alonso, who is driving for Toyota.
Currently the dominant Toyota team.
yes, the
Yeah.
championship leader one race
the
in.
only
Yes.
factory team left in
Yes.
the LMP1 class, and basically they have bought him a win, which is why I am now calling it WWEC. Alonso's teammates are in here somewhere. Sebastian Buemi and Kazuki Nakajima.
Yep, names
Both-
that we recognise
Both
from.
XF1.
Yeah.
Also in the LMP class, we have one-time Caterham driver Andre Lotterer, doing much better in Formula E.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
one-time Caterham driver, as in he did one race.
Yeah, and then they asked him if he wanted to do another, and he said, no, I'd rather do it in a decent car.
It's a good plan.
Yeah. Lotterer is in the Rebellion Racing team alongside Bruno Senna.
The Rebellion racing cars look cool.
Got to admit they,
They
do,
are
actually.
zebra print and red.
Oh, cool.
Neil Yarney, who I think has had some F1 testing before, but unfortunately his career was massively hampered by taking part in A1GP.
Oh no.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Moment's silence for his career on that one. Other former F1 related types. There is Ollie Rowland, who will be testing a Williams later on this year.
Yes, yeah, he's doing.
He's a development driver,
he
isn't
He's
he?
a Williams development
He's their
driver.
designated young driver, even though he's older than both of their race drivers.
Yeah.
Yes. Not quite sure how that works.
Peter
but,
Pan of F1.
And Williams' reserve driver is nearly the age of both of their race drivers combined.
Yes.
in his team is also Alex Brundle.
Yeah, Alex Brundle's
I
actually
yes, I
taken on
believe-
from his dad, but being very good in sports car racing.
Yes, Martin Brundle is doing something, not the Le Mans 24-hour itself. I think he's doing one of the the support
The two-hour
45-minute
veteran
jobbies.
races.
Yeah, I think he's
things.
doing something with Aston Martin.
Yeah, I think they do the ones for the over 50s where you don't do all that long in the car because you need to stop and go for a pee every 30 minutes when you get to that age.
Don't forget, Martin Brundle he took a break from Formula One in 1990, was it?
Yeah, went
around
and
about
did
then,
sports
yeah.
cars.
And won the World Sports Car Championship with Jaguar.
Yeah. Also in that team is Oliver Turvey, who
Oh, you've just opened his Wikipedia page in my eye line, and that is an astonishing hair.
he's got astonishing hair. He's a McLaren young driver, and he's 31
Yes,
because he's been taking part in young driver tests.
Of course.
since forever.
Yeah, using fake ID probably. Let's have a look. Any other familiar names? SMP Racing.
Very familiar name there.
Yeah, the team that owns Sergei Sorokin, so it's Sergei's mum's purse.
Yeah,
Car number 11, a certain Jay Button will be driving that one.
that's normally a quieter reaction to that than you would get.
Seeing as there's only the three of us left in here tonight, we're dropping like flies. Even Bruno's asleep.
He is.
Yeah, Jensen Button, Vitaly Petrov, and the Russian that has been removed from every team that he's ever been in, Mikhail Aleshin.
I believe he actually had a visa issue with IndyCar, which is why he's not there anymore. He actually got banned from the country.
He had a visa issue, got the visa replaced, but then the team realised that the driver that got him to replace him was better, so they sacked him. That's
Seems
what
fair.
that's what I'd heard.
I think he's quite crashy, isn't he?
He is a bit, yeah.
Right.
Good news for Jensen.
Yeah, JB, you might not have a car to get into. Single race Minardi driver and Formula E veteran Stefan Sarazan's in the other SMP car. In LMP2, Paul Di Resta is driving for Zach Brown's team.
Yes, he did that at Daytona also, I think.
And
It was Sebring, wasn't it? I think.
Was it Sebring?
Yeah, because Daytona was when Lando and Nando.
Yeah, he was in the second car,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
he?
he
They had
was
a
in- he was in
second
the
one
other
with
United Autosport.
Bruno
Ah.
Senna and someone else. I think
I
we
was
haven't
live
heard of.
blogging it, but by God, I was tired by that point.
Yes.
Former French international goalkeeper and World Cup winner Fabien Barthez.
He's
has-
pretty decent, actually,
Well,
for one of the celeb entrants.
He's not racing in...
Is he not anymore?
He's not racing, but his team have Will Stevens, so they're
Ah.
screwed.
Well, he has raced a couple of times, Barthez, and is fairly handy.
I think he's had a podium before
Possibly.
in one of the GT classes.
Le Mans.
Yeah.
I saw your mouse hover over it then. I think you need to talk about it. Not that one.
Not Jean-Eric
The
Verne.
Dutch one.
The Dutch one.
Next one down from where you were then.
Next one down from where I was then.
I can't see this screen, people. This
Guido
is going to be a
van der
surprise.
Gaard.
Yeah, Guido van der Gaard is actually turning up to race wearing his own
He appears to have been
overalls.
allocated a race.
An actual seat.
Yes, it appears to be his seat.
In a Dutch team with another XF1 driver, Jan Lammers. God, how old is he?
Jan Lammers must be
Wow,
about 47 now,
True.
if not older. Jan Lammers also went on to do British touring
He must
car.
be how old?
47.
62.
What? What?
Jan Lammers, who made his F1 debut in 1979, also had the longest gap between F1 races, which was 10 years
Wow.
between the... Needed Sean for this. Between racing for Theodore in 1982, where his last race was... Well, his last Formula One appearance on track was in the Dutch Grand Prix, and the following two races he didn't qualify.
That does
Yeah.
appear to be a lot of did not qualify on that, that graph. there.
And then a 10-year break and raced in the 1992 Japanese Grand Prix where he retired. So he carried on the tradition and then ruined it by finishing in Australia.
Yeah, Jan Lammers he drove for Volvo in the British Touring Car Championship in the 90s.
It's a good British brand there.
Yeah, British Touring Car Championship with they had Renault and Audi
You
and
have all sorts, don't you?
yeah. But the Volvos decided they were going to race estate cars, 850 estates.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, oh, can you race estate cars and touring cars? And there's like, yeah, we'll allow it because it seems like a really stupid idea to put a an estate car. And I think Jan Lammers won a race that year for Volvo.
He finished fifth. That was his highest.
Was it?
Yeah.
but in an estate,
In
that's...
a Volvo 850 estate, which is...
Was his
common-
teammate Ricard Rydell at that time?
You're making me left hand
Yeah, I
Google
am.
quite
Yeah,
a lot. It was a team run by Tom Walkinshaw.
Yeah, TWR Volvo was definitely. I remember that. It had the blue and white livery on it that old TWR cars carried until Arrows and sponsorship and things.
Yeah, and my laptop's just gone absolutely scattered.
We'll forget Swedish driver Ricard Rydell.
Let's have a look. British touring cars, the 850 estate racing car, which was only rendered uncompetitive when the FIA allowed the use of aerodynamic aids in 1995. Doesn't actually say who his teammate was. Unfortunately.
Oh, that's one for...
sorry, it does. It was Ricard Rydell.
There
Yes.
we go. Excellent
Oh,
knowledge of the
well-
British
well
Touring Car
remembered.
Championship.
Random knowledge from Chris's head from
all
90s
good.
racing.
Why not?
But directly on the list of drivers, right under Guido van der Gaard, racing for Dragon Speed, is Pastor Maldonado.
What?
Yes.
Yes, Pastor Maldonado has to do another 24-hour race.
The Pasta Disaster Predictor is back.
I seem to recall
We
he
can't
was...
say lap one, turn one, can we?
No, because he probably won't be qualifying it.
No.
It'll probably be someone who's fast.
Right.
Who are his teammates?
So let's have a Pastor Disaster Predictor. Which numbered hour during the 24 hours of Le Mans will Maldonado bin it?
I'm trying to remember. I think in 6 Hours of Spa he was second in the car, so presumably he will be in sort of 3
Third.
hours in. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
second
I'm
or
going to go
third.
for fourth hour.
You're saying fourth?
Yeah.
Fifth.
17th.
Oh,
Ooh.
an overnight.
No,
Yeah.
wait. What am I doing? 13th.
Unlucky
Yeah.
13th.
That'll be the
That
middle
was
of the
his race
night
number
when
as
he's
well,
not awake,
wasn't it?
and it's
in Formula
dark,
One?
Yes.
and there are lights coming up all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13th hour. Pasta Maldonado.
So 4, 13, 17.
Okay.
If you want to join in, to get in touch with us, it's the first time we've been able to do a Pastor Disaster Predictor in ages.
I'm
Have
rubbing
a
my hands
1 in
together with
24
glee.
chance, which is better than picking a lap in.
Well,
a
no,
Grand
because it was
Prix.
everyone usually went for lap one, turn one.
Well, yes.
And mostly they were right. Who else have we got? We have Juan Pablo Montoya. He's racing for Zach Brown.
Yes. And he like Alonso is sort of on a triple crown charge because he has an Indy 500 win and Monaco win.
Yes, he does.
However, he's in a slower car and a slower class than Alonso, but LMP2 cars.
Yeah, but he's in a
How-
Zach Brown car.
Yes.
Have won.
I feel like Zach Brown's been a bit of a dick to Alonso there, but quite amusingly.
So we could actually see Montoya take. It's fairly unlikely, but we could see Montoya take the Triple Crown ahead of Alonso, driving a car that's owned by Zach Brown.
Yes.
I think realistically this is probably the sort of the taster for Montoya, and he'll probably try and latch on with an LMP1 for next year. But
Yeah,
it would be quite amusing that Montoya just steals it from nowhere.
who else have we got? Another SMP car with long-time friend of the show, and I'm staying that because he was the first actual proper racing driver to acknowledge our existence, Norman Nato,
Yes.
who's now driving full-time in WEC after leaving GP2 or F2. I will get around to calling it by the right name one of these
And
days.
they'll change it by the time you catch up.
Oh, guarantee.
It'll be something else.
G-Drive Racing have someone called James Allen racing for them, but as he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, I'm guessing it's not that
Not
one.
that one.
I hope to God it's not that, James Allen.
Let's see, what else have we got? Felipe Nasr
Oh, wow.
is making a comeback to international racing.
Fred, as they always used to call him on Sky.
Fred from NASA. He is another LMP2 entry. In GT Pro, J-Mag,
As K-Mag's dad.
K-Mag's dad. He's driving a Corvette. Oliver Gavin, who drove the F1 safety car before Burnt Mylander about 13 years ago.
It's not more than that now.
Yeah, he's in one of the Corvette teams. Here's a blast from the past, driving for Chip Ganassi Racing, the same ones that run the IndyCar team. Andy Prio.
Andy Prio,
Andy
World
Prio.
Touring Car Champion Andy Prio.
Yeah.
His son is in British F4 and is fairly handy,
Oh, wow.
as is Mick Doohan's son. There's a lot of just children, I think, hanging around in that
Yeah.
series at the moment.
Yeah, well, Mick Schumacher's still hanging around in F3, European F3,
Yes.
for another season because he clearly wasn't ready to move up from it yet. So if all the children get good this year round, then they could join Mick Schumacher in was it International Formula 3? It's becoming next year.
Something like that, isn't it?
All... GP3 and European Formula 3 merging to become F3.
International F3.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. Sounds like
It's gonna have a 3 in it somewhere.
International Rescue.
Chip Ganassi is IndyCar land
Yes.
in Le Mans.
Well, they're an American team, so
Yeah.
yes.
Tony Kanaan, Sebastian Bourdais, Ryan Briscoe, Scott Dixon, all familiar IndyCar names.
Yeah.
Sam Bird is racing a GT, former F1 test driver, and I think
He was Mercedes test driver, wasn't
yes, and now racing in
Formula
Formula
E.
E and still in there for the championship.
he?
Yes.
Yes, very
It
much
didn't
so.
get decided this weekend in Zurich, and I just want to say, Switzerland finally.
Yes, welcome back, Switzerland.
Yes.
Well, welcome back to racing.
Yeah,
Yes.
first race in 54 years.
64, is it not? It's
64?
1954.
Sorry. Yes, it was 1954. I'll get my 5s and 6s
Yes.
confused. But yeah, first race that isn't a hill climb since 1954.
Yeah. So, welcome back to motorsport.
Yes.
Country of Switzerland. They have the right roads for it as well, Switzerland.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
They had a very narrow track, though, the Formula
because
E.
as you're going along the road in France and the road is bumpy and not very well maintained in France, the second you cross the border to Switzerland, it's like driving on plastic. Like, it's brilliant.
It's a shame the centre of Zurich isn't like that, because that was one of the bumpiest Formula E circuits I think I've seen.
It was just so tight as well. They'd thought, yeah, we'll make it 1.5 car lengths wide. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once Formula E gets wider circuits,
Yeah.
it'll be a lot better.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing, isn't it? It was the kind of thing there, wasn't it, with street circuits?
Just depends on how wide the street is.
Yeah.
Although a cobbled pit lane was...
That was interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting look.
No, but again, it's street circuit, sort of something that throws up. Guessing it didn't rain over the weekend in Zurich.
Don't
Not
think
that
so.
I noticed. No.
So because wet cobbles would have been hilarious with electric cars.
It would have been like watching the cycling.
Oh, the Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where were we? GT Pro. Alex Lynn, who's now full-time racing for Aston Martin, and according to the F1 report last week, has severed all ties with Williams. And Giancarlo Fisichella is officially an amateur this year. Now, he is racing in the GTE amateur class
Is that because he's been unprofessional for so long that he's now an amateur?
Yeah,
think
yes
so.
and no. I think it's more the team that's amateur, but you have to have a certain class of license to be able to race for the amateurs. I think it's a silver or a bronze license, so he'll have had to have not done.
Or you're allowed a gold license as long as your two
If it's two
teammates are two
bronzes,
bronzes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's some kind
You're
of
only allowed
overall
so
point
much talent,
system.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And judging by the fact that one of his teammates doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, I'm guessing he's the
Aha.
talent in that team.
Yes.
What else have we got? Olivier Beretta, who was the last Monegasque driver to start the Monaco Grand Prix before Charles Leclerc.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
He's knocking on a bit, and I've got to admit the rest of the LMP GT amateur whatever field I've never bloody heard of.
No.
But it's going to be a good one. It starts Saturday afternoon. We'll be about on various forms of social media over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll check in and out with it.
Yeah, in between burgers and beers.
Yeah.
Other forms of barbecue food are available.
See how I feel by the weekend. I might just be asleep all weekend at this rate.
Are we going to have to wrap things up fairly soon then?
No.
Oh, that's
I mean,
Yes,
no, just
we're
being.
fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
I wasn't
Power through.
saying that. I wasn't saying I'm bored. I don't feel
It's
very
Canada
good.
all over again.
I just don't feel very good.
This podcast
Would
has
you
got
like
some
some
of the
drugs?
Canadian.
We've probably got some drugs in the kitchen.
Legal ones from a pharmacy that are prescribed for cold and flu.
Maybe we'll see.
Right, however, in the absence of Lee,
Is it that time?
Oh, no.
it is that time.
And because Dan's buggered off, there's only two of us.
I know.
So there's two of you going up for this one. And this one has been sent in by Paul Nicholson from the Isle of Man,
Not the darts player.
not the darts player.
He did all right this weekend, apparently. I'm surprised you didn't get a load of Twitter abuse.
Yeah.
Makes a bloody change. So, this week's Total Shunt theme tune was because the guitar's out in the hall and
Yeah.
And you're not feeling too well.
Can't sing anyway.
I could get you a bass, but nobody wants that.
No.
So, I was born
Good.
This is the good way to start.
in 1971.
Okay.
1971. So that's
Yes.
47 or
Yes.
48.
40,
47.
46, 47.
Yeah. 47 this year.
Yes.
I got my first driving experience as a reward for getting good marks at school in my worst subject.
Okay. What do we reckon a racing car driver's worst subject would be? I reckon it's probably something like history or something where you would have to be quite booky and paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Science, maybe.
I don't know. Science goes into cars, so that might
Yeah.
might be quite interesting. Like
Ask our accountant.
exactly
Cars are made of science.
electrical circuits
And
and
dials.
physics and that kind of shit.
And he probably will be listening to this
Oh, he
one.
probably will.
Question 3,
Yes,
and I'll
please.
need a guess after this one.
Okay.
I drove my first single-seater on the same day that I drove my first kart that was more than 100cc.
Interesting.
Pro karts start at 125. That's what's called the junior.
Is that still on?
Oh, that microphone is still on, so you've just
If
heard
there
a
are any
cat.
strange
You may have
noises,
just
it's
heard-
because Bruno the cat has decided
Bruno
to
has taken
headbutt
Dan's
Dan's
place.
mic.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk? Do you know the answer? Probably closer than us, to be fair.
Yeah, probably.
I need a guess from you on this one.
Right, 46, 47.
So if Formula One, we're looking at probably about 20 years ago.
Yes. How old is Jos Verstappen?
Probably about 47.
In that neck of the woods. Let's go. Yeah.
Is that your first guess?
So
Jos
Jos
Verstappen?
Put him
Verstappen
as
is
a-
a first
as a
guess.
first
Why not? We
guess.
don't have anything else.
Right. So, that's your first guess. Right. Question 4. I wasn't allowed a licence in my home country or the country I was living in at the time, so my first races were on an Andorran licence.
Ooh, now, we were talking about this the other day. Spain don't allow road racing licenses for bikers.
Oh, right.
So, pretty much
Oh,
any.
there's about to be a lot of cat.
Oh, hello, here she is. Pretty much any biker that wants to do a road race from Spain has to be Andorran. That doesn't help any, but
No.
Next clue. After an undistinguished career in Italy, I won races in Japan and came third in the Macau Grand Prix.
It could still be a motorcyclist, couldn't it? Because motorcycles do
Yes.
the Macau Grand Prix.
Yes.
What was that clue again, Paul? Sorry, read that again.
After an undistinguished career in Italy, I won races in Japan and came third in the Macau Grand Prix.
So I'm thinking there's somebody who would have been like Spanish, Italian, or
Yes. And 47.
Ready for the next clue?
I think,
I think about someone like Esteban Tuero. Was he Argentinian or something? Or
He was slow.
Possibly.
Next clue.
yes,
After Japan, I moved to the same racing series now competed in by Dave Daddario.
Oh,
okay.
this is yes.
Formula Atlantic.
I am so proud of that clue. sorry. The guy who wrote it is so proud of that clue.
Of course, of course.
And I will need a guess.
Oh God.
An extra hint, it's not Dave Daddario.
That would be an elaborate double bluff naming him in the clue about him.
Yeah. I don't know. Trying to think of someone Spanish
Yeah,
or Italian
I'm
that,
struggling a little bit.
or Spanish Italian.
I'm going to have to hurry you.
Yes.
Should we just say Esteban Tuero, even though we know
Yes.
it's not him?
So Esteban Tuero
Yeah.
is your second guess.
Even though
Yes.
it's not him.
Okay. Clue number 7. When I won for the first time at Road America, it wasn't the first time my name had been on the winner's trophy at that race.
Okay, so it's someone from a dynasty. Potentially.
A Fittipaldi or an Andretti.
Those are sort of... The Fittipaldis are Brazilian, aren't they?
Yeah, the Andrettis are Italian.
They must be of Italian background, yeah.
Well, Mario Andretti is actually well. All our American listeners will hate me for saying that Mario Andretti is Italian. Where was Mario Andretti born? Everybody in Italy.
Or, how old is Dario Franchitti?
Yeah, Scottish though, isn't he? Dario
Yeah.
Franchitti?
Yes, but of Italian,
Yeah. I know,
and
I know
probably
the
wouldn't
sort
be
of
proud
angle.
of a Scottish racing license. Maybe would want an Andorran one instead for a bit of excitement.
Someone like Giovanni Lavaggi or someone like that.
Ooh. Move on to clue 8.
Yes.
Okay. I was the last unified champion until 2008.
What?
What is a unified? That's
champion?
boxing, is it? Has taken a sudden change.
Or are we talking kart, champ car?
I assume this is someone who's won 2 different events. Is unified champion, is that something in IndyCar where you have the person who's
I
like the
don't
best on the
know.
ovals and the best on the road courses, and then I don't know.
I've no idea.
They change the format every now and then, don't they?
Okay.
So
Clue 9.
yes.
I've got 10 clues on there, so you don't have to give me a guess on the end of this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Clue 9. My last 4 seasons in Formula 1 were for 4 different teams, and I only completed a full season in one of them.
Oh wow.
Ooh. What about Pedro Della Rosa?
Yeah, that's a good
He's
shout.
about the right age and a bit of a bit part character.
I think he might be older than that, but yeah.
Because what did he do? He did a race for
He replaced
Sergio Perez.
Yeah, replaced Perez at Sauber.
Yes. He did a full season, was it with HRT?
No, he didn't get the full season in.
Ah.
Yeah,
He still
HR
had like the lap record in Bahrain or somewhere, didn't he, coming into this year?
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
really-
that was a surprise when we saw that.
Yeah, it's like, what?
How?
Yeah, Della Rosa might be a good shout, actually, Pedro Della Rosa.
Clue 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Spaffer clue after this
Good.
as well.
Okay.
But clue 10, need a guess after this one. I raced for another 9 years after my F1 career finished, with my last race being in Malaysia.
Ooh. I mean, that doesn't specify that the last race was an F1 race, but I can't think of someone who's ended their racing career in Malaysia,
No. Where,
But I'm gonna need a guess.
aside from Julian Palmer.
no. Yeah.
It's not him.
Where is
And the option of whether you want the Spaffer clue or not.
where is the like a racing series that finishes in Malaysia? Does WEC finish in Malaysia? Or?
No, they finish in Bahrain, I think. Or they did last year. MotoGP has Malaysia towards the end of the calendar.
Much like F1 used to.
Yes. I think that's why Malaysia moved forward in F1. But I don't know.
Do you want the Spaffer clue?
I think we're going to need it.
Yeah, we're gonna need
Yeah.
a Spaffer clue, I think.
When my album came out in
Oh,
2007,
no.
it sold less than 1,000 copies.
Oh.
Jacques Villeneuve.
It had to be this week. Got ya.
Wow.
Clue 7, when I won for the first time in Road America, it wasn't the first time my name had been on the winner's trophy.
Yes.
9 years previous, the Road America IndyCar Grand Prix was won by his uncle Jacques Villeneuve.
Ah.
He got his first go in a go-kart when he got good results in maths.
Now, you think of drivers as being quite good at maths, don't you? Because they need to know splits, and
Yeah.
you would assume.
Wasn't allowed a Canadian racing licence because he was only 17. And he was living in Switzerland.
Oh.
I don't think they allowed racing licences for 17-year-olds. That's why.
No, that's why
Andorra
Romain Grosjean has
He's
races
French.
He's
for
French,
France.
even though he's Swiss. Moved to Formula Atlantic after winning 3 races in Japanese F3000 in the 80s. Came third in Macau. Last unified champion in IndyCar before the split between kart and the Indy Racing League.
Right.
Before it was reformed as one in
Yeah.
2008. And last 4 seasons in F1 for different teams. What was it? BAR.
Yeah.
Sauber, there was Renault in there, and another that I can't remember that I had written down that I've lost somewhere,
Ah.
where he kept cropping up,
Well, there you go.
and carried on racing in various sports car and endurance races and the occasional Indy 500 appearance, and NASCAR trucks. I seem to remember at one point.
I think everyone's had a bit of a random NASCAR trucks, haven't they?
So, if you want to send in a total shunt for next week to save me doing all that work, send it on email, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. And if I get some in, I will choose the best one and do that while Lee's away. And I might even turn the tables on Lee in a couple of weeks and do one when he gets back.
Yeah, that was a good one
Yeah.
then, Paul. I like that.
No,
Well,
it was
that was-
good.
Yeah, I said it, baby.
Yes.
Right, Formula Lee next. It was Canada in, for some reason, a Sauber,
Because Lee said so.
because Lee said so. Chris, you can get to do the choosing this week.
Yes.
Although you've got to choose a track for this one as well. But let
I
me
do.
just run through the times. Top 20, we have 20th place. Last time to come in, 2 minutes before the cut-off. 6:58. Cut it close and got a point for it, Timmy Bristow. Paul Robert Burley. I scored points. I finished in 18th.
Oh, very good, Paul. Well done.
I'm the only one out of everyone on this podcast that actually took part in this week's. Adam Smith, Ken Lauderbach, Nick Richardson, Nicholas Carline, Freddie Brunner, Nick Granath, and Vaicha Camping, all points just outside the top 10. Into the top 10 we have Pete Bull, Max Williams, Travis Parker, Alberto Roldan, Carl Jarzec, Ollie Vestley, and Alessandro Popolani, who had to get somebody to send his time in for him because he'd gone on a work trip.
And remember to get somebody else
And
to send
remember
it
to get
through.
somebody to do it
That's
who was
dedication.
one of the people that he regularly plays against.
That is dedication.
And that person who he regularly plays against was Ayrton Antonucci, who came third.
Oh, Ayrton. Brilliant.
So you got your mate to send your time in because he beat you. Second place, Bradley Chambers.
Oh, good effort, Bradley. Well done.
And winning again, Will Coates.
Excellent. Good work, Will.
who also asked if we would mention the Racing League on PC that he's got set up.
If you can't beat Will on Formula Lee, but you want to beat him somewhere else, give this a go.
Yep, it's an online racing league, EERC. It's PC only. They have 2 weekly online races, F1 2017 and Project Cars 2. And they've got prize money going on for their races as well. If you want to know the details, drop us a line, 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, or tweet us at 3legs4wheels, and I will send you the details, and I'll put you in touch with Will, who will sign you up for his league. So, we need the next Formula League challenge, but we've got a bit of a quandary this week,
Yes.
because it's the French Grand Prix coming up.
And there's no French
And
Grand
it's
Prix.
still last
So
year's
I've
game.
just been thinking about this in those seconds that you said that I had to choose.
Was this
a
news to
circuit.
you that you were going to have to choose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I just thought I'd land it on him.
And it was also news to me that there was no Le Castellet on F1 2017, but of course there wasn't.
But there wasn't Le Castellet in
No.
F1 in 2017.
So because Lee is usually pretty harsh to everyone on Formula Lee, and does something pretty nasty, like he would probably go back to Monaco in the wet or something like that.
yeah.
That's what Lee would do. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to say have a blast round Spa in the dry in a Ferrari.
This year's Ferrari?
Yeah.
Or do you want to make it one of the classic Ferraris?
We could do that, couldn't you? Look at that.
How about the 2004 Ferrari? Because that's the fastest car on the game.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So-
Go classic then, yeah.
Yeah.
Spa, 2004 Ferrari.
In the dry.
Yeah, we may have done that in winter Formula League. You know?
No, because that would have been unusually generous.
But if we did, then of course it may not be possible to beat your best time on Spa with that car. Just don't show us the leaderboard. Send us your actual time in from those 2 weeks.
Why don't I have a look on the site and have a look on, say, the Formula League Winter Series, and see what the races were?
I'm pretty sure we did use that car.
Let's have a look.
But Spa in the dry. Spa's Belgium. Belgium's pretty close to France.
It
Okay,
borders.
it's nowhere near Le Castellet, admittedly, but
I think, like you say, I think geographically Monaco would probably be the closest.
It
but
is
that's
the
just been
closest,
and gone.
yeah.
So
It was the 2004 Ferrari in Monza, so that's all right.
yeah.
So it's the 2004 Ferrari, so that's classic cars, and it's in Spa in the dry. Cut-off date is going to be Monday the 25th, just after the French Grand Prix, 7 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Eastern. Send it to us. You can tweet it as a direct message at 3legs4wheels. You can email it 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. You can get in touch on Facebook, send us a private message there. Just go to facebook.com and look for 3legs4wheels. And if you want to get in touch with us individually, you can get us on the Twitter address that I've just said, 3legs4wheels, and
at Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
at Pablo100,
You can annoy Lee at a total shunt, and you can also get Dan.
at Dan Dankleton.
Yes.
No underscores.
No.
And we mentioned this before, but there is the extra Patreon show that we do every week for all those wonderful patrons that
Keep us in equipment.
keep us in equipment, keep the funding coming in. Just go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels, and you'll find out more details about that there. Slightly truncated show tonight, but Dan had to disappear on a secret mission. We had to do some on-the-fly editing because we had a hardware failure, and I'm going to go out and buy some kettle leads and HDMI cables this week so we can use the real computer to record it on.
Yes.
And I'm going to have some real, proper legal drugs to get rid of this horrible feeling that I've had since last week.
So, enjoy Le Mans this weekend. We'll be about on social media, I would have thought, if we're not doing the live blog. 94 patrons to go. It may happen.
It's not going to.
Don't be so negative.
Do you reckon they've all been hanging on for the last minute to lull you into this false sense of security, and now
And
they're
then
all just
it'll be
gonna
Friday-
Thursday, Friday, bam, there they all
Bam.
are.
Everything comes in. Although when we said we'd do the challenge last year, if we got £100 in extra Patreon donations, we got it
Somebody.
from one person.
Yeah. Somebody please.
Your friendly local guest, shall we
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Who Came Good is still a Patreon, and Steve, we can't thank you enough. Also, a couple of thanks to Tyson and Mike, who were
Not Mike Tyson.
not Mike Tyson,
No, Tyson Best and Mike McPherson, who were at the Canadian Grand Prix, and
along with
sent us
Joshua
through.
Kaiser as well. The amazing artist Joshua Kaiser.
Yeah. Please follow. We'll put his proper Twitter handle out. I think he is at Joshua Kaiser, but we'll
It's
double check
Joshua A. Kaiser, but we share plenty of his tweets.
that. Yeah. Does
all-
some great drawings of Formula One cars and various race scenarios and that.
Did you see the
And,
sketch he sent while he was sat in the stands waiting
Yeah,
for
yeah.
waiting for FP3 to start on
I
Saturday?
did, yeah.
That was incredible.
And also thanks to Luke as well for the very small Jacques Villeneuve banner in the crowd at just by turn 8. something like that?
Around grandstand 31, so yeah, it was round about turn 8. But thanks to Mike and Tyson for all the photos that they sent. I'm going to put a photo gallery together on the site over the next few days, mainly because they've sent that many photos through.
Yeah.
Mainly Mike. It's going to take me the best part of 2 days to troll through all the photos and the videos.
But no, we really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all your support. As I say, sorry for the slightly low performance on my part this week, but
We've tried to keep it together.
I
under
think
everything that's
I
going
think
on.
I'm still blaming Canada. I think it has
that's what I'm
ruined the
blaming.
train of thought.
I'm blaming the race in Canada.
Why didn't we use
mind-numbing
Blame Canada
race.
as the play out track on
Blame
the podcast?
Canada.
The Patreon. So everything French next week. We'll be looking back at Le Mans. We'll be previewing the French Grand Prix.
Yes, I can't think of anything else French to say.
Au revoir.
Adieu.
Or I could go back to what was it? Reportage and Eurotrash days. Allez, salut maintenant. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.